We have just taken a look at our monetization history over the past 8 years. And honestly, some of these numbers are going to shock you. So from our first $3 Patreon membership to our biggest revenue mistake that cost us thousands, we are laying out our entire monetization journey. So from the wins, the fails, to everything we learned along the way.
Hey everyone, welcome to The Branding Fix. We are two solo bloggers turned co-workers rebuilding our blogs in the age of AI. So welcome to co-working. It's time to clock in, grab a comfy chair, something to drink. It's time to get to work because here content creation and blogging is our business. Today we're going to be breaking down our full monetization history, all our wins, all our fails, the platforms we tried, the things we tried to monetize, all the money we lost, and the lessons we learned so you don't have to.
First, let's talk about the early days of our monetization journey. So going back to 2017 for me, I was very focused on providing services to businesses, brands, and individuals. So that was my main strategy, I would say, from 2017 to early 2020. Fran, what were you focused on back then?
So I actually started monetizing the blog way early. We opened the blog in 2011, and by 2012, I was already monetizing beyond the Amazon affiliates, which obviously those were on immediately, but I was monetizing with direct advertising. And that is still to this day what has worked the best for me. So definitely I worked really heavy on that. I was always promoting that, and it did actually provide results and income.
It definitely sounds like I was following your lead because essentially that was my next step, selling direct ads in my newsletter. So I started a newsletter before I really started a blog, so to say. So I was driving traffic from my newsletter to articles and posts and information on the blog. And then I started selling direct advertising straight in the newsletter and then later on the blog. But let's get into platform-specific monetization that we also tried as well. So my priority was never to monetize my audience, but eventually I got caught up in that wind as well. So the first platform I tried to monetize my audience was on Patreon. So I had $3 memberships, $5 memberships. I think I had a $7.99 maybe. I don't quite remember. But I started creating content on Patreon and I immediately burnt out from that. I think maybe a year going 2 years in because I found myself on this content creation hamster wheel and I really wasn't getting the signups I was hoping for.
I was the same way as far as not wanting to monetize my audience. And I think probably I got caught up with all of the online business advice that said that you should be monetizing and you should be starting memberships and products and all that stuff. Now, I will say, and we'll talk about products in a little while, but I did do products before I did memberships. And once I did memberships, I did not like the Patreon platform. I tried to set one up and I never launched it just because I didn't like the platform itself. So I ended up nixing that. And what I was really looking for was a platform that allowed me to do what I wanted to do in terms of creating a community. And I found that with Heartbeat, I absolutely love that platform, but of course that comes with a cost that was cheaper than a lot of the other platforms that do similar things. And I will stand by recommending Heartbeat to someone that needs the functionality of what that provides. However, I really struggle with getting people on this platform. There was a lot of friction with that, was not a ton of signups either. And I just got caught up in the same creating content for those memberships. So definitely lost a lot of money there because the cost of the platform was not being covered with the subscriptions.
I think that was super relatable for me as well because after Patreon, I took a break from monetizing my audience. After that breather though, I jumped on Kajabi. And again, I think I was influenced by content creators who are business gurus telling you this is what you need to do, this is how you should monetize. I did make more money on Kajabi than I did Patreon, but the overhead on Kajabi was high. I also think it's because I was able to sell multiple things and provide packages why I did better than I did on Patreon. But ultimately, I left Kajabi and then went to Substack because Substack also had the feature where you could essentially create a membership, which is really providing content behind a paywall. And I will be honest and say I've made the most money on Substack. So comparing Patreon, Kajabi, and now I'm currently on Substack, though I'm planning an exit strategy on that one. And we have a whole video where we talk about Substack even further. But I will say I've made the most money on Substack. Converting free to paid subscribers was definitely easier there. But again, I am planning my exit strategy. But those are the platforms where I have tried to monetize. Separately though, I will talk about something else I did to monetize my audience where I used Zoom. So we'll talk more about that in a bit.
And I just wanted to add also the Substack experience. I also made the most money on Substack. I will say the appeal was the ease of conversion. People can actually see what it is that is behind the paywall really easily versus having to sign up for say a Kajabi or a Heartbeat where the only thing they see is basically your sales page. And you have to bring them in, lure them in with whatever is your pitch of what they're going to get inside, but they're not seeing anything. So I think that FOMO is something that you're really getting with Substack because they get just a little bit of a tease of the content that's behind the paywall. So I think that definitely helps with converting, but we will talk in another video about why we are not continuing on with with that, even though it's made us the most money.
So now that we've talked about the platforms where we monetized our audience, let's talk about the product launches that we've done as well. So over time, I had a merch shop. I've also sold guides. I've sold exclusive access to things like replays, post events. Sometimes those events were free. I think that was the extent of my product launches. I would say merch didn't work for me because I wasn't pushing merch all the time. And I think that's a common misconception with merch. We think we can just create it, have it as an aside. But the truth is, whether you have merch as an aside or you are full-blown merch shop, you need to be promoting that merch all day, every day. And I wasn't doing that, so that wasn't successful for me. The guides I was providing, that was topical and seasonal and something that readers were interested in. So I saw higher conversions, and I did include in the footer of my email and my newsletters, a little PS, hey, if you didn't get the guide already, now's a great time to grab it. And that would also assist in the conversions. So that was my version of hammering the guide. Although again, with hindsight, I could have done a lot more. Whatever you're selling, you need to be promoting 24/7 because I've learned from experience, you can't just have it and expect them to come because you really won't get those conversions.
So for me, the first products that I created to sell was all planning template related. So I actually had first an Etsy shop with them. So I was getting also a little bit of foot traffic, and we are going back to like 2012, 2013. So there was still foot traffic on Etsy that was coming just organically. So I was getting some of that. I was promoting those templates on YouTube. And by the time that I was selling Notion templates, the foot traffic on Etsy disappeared. I still get at least a couple of sales a month without me pushing it at all. Should I be doing better and pushing it? Yes. If you are creating something, just like Victoria said, you need to promote it. You need to be pushing it. You need to be talking about it because people are not just going to click on a shop link on your site and somehow purchase things. Now, much like Victoria, I also was selling merch, but I also made the mistake setting up that shop and having all the products, and I never promoted that. Once in a while, maybe I would post a story with a mug, and yes, there were a couple of sales from that. Did I do that consistently? Absolutely not. So I think that unless you are ready for the kind of work that it's going to take to push merch, you shouldn't get into merch.
Another income stream was providing service-based, client-based work, and that is something that I actually did and I was incredibly successful at. Now, I will admit, I was fortunate that within my niche, there was a lot of incoming business coming my way without me necessarily promoting, but I actually think that sometimes that can turn out to be a good thing because it was really driven by word of mouth. I did some work for one person, they liked it, they told someone else, and business just kept rolling in. But as time has gone by, I have also learned that if I want to continue doing client work and service-based work and consulting work, I need to be promoting myself all the time. I also went down the rabbit hole of hosting virtual events. So that's what I was alluding to earlier, where I actually signed up for Zoom events, my first virtual event, because I had no idea what was going on. This was also during the pandemic. And Zoom events was very expensive. I then moved on to Crowdcast, which was a lot more affordable and a lot more user-friendly because I did have a lot of people complaining about Zoom events and getting tickets and getting on and just all the back and forth there. But in the end, those two income streams did really well for me. So hosting virtual events, providing consulting, but majority of my money came from service and client work.
And now when it comes to service and client work, I already come from a background of having had a web design business before. So I know that working with clients is not necessarily my top priority or what I like to do the most. But even then, I actually started working at some point with an agency, like a PR agency, and I was getting work through them. Probably did that for maybe about 6 to 8 months. It was good money, but I ended up leaving and stopping that completely just because I personally don't like the relationship of having to do client work, especially as it related to the niche and how much attention the particular job that I was doing needed and how much hand-holding that would require. So I would say if that is something you enjoy doing, it's probably a good thing.
Now let's talk about some passive income strategies, although Francesca and I truly believe there's no such thing as passive income. I know that's a conversation for another day, but commonly thought of passive income streams include ad networks, affiliate marketing, sometimes direct sponsorships, but again, we don't consider that to be passive income. However, I didn't even know ad networks existed until I met our mutual friend Laura, who introduced me to the fact that, hey, you can turn on monetization on your website, on your blog, join an ad network, and just have the money rolling in from ads being displayed on your site. Now, after paying attention to my blog, to my website, looking at SEO, and just learning a lot from Laura, in under a year, I was able to then sign up to an ad network. I signed up to Raptive, and I've been with them ever since. I do make decent money considering my traffic, with Raptive, even after all the Google updates, so that has been great. Affiliate links isn't like it used to be for me, but I'm also recognizing that now I need to be pushing affiliate links more intentionally and more frequently across platforms, because gone are the days of just leaving affiliate links in my newsletter or on my blog and expecting money to continue to roll in. I've now realized I need to expand on that as well. And the same thing can be said for selling direct ads and sponsorships and doing sponsored content. If I'm not actively promoting slots and saying, hey, I have this available, I don't really see the sales. So that is something I'm planning to step up as well. However, hands down, that is also another big money maker for me. So being a part of an ad network and selling direct ads, affiliate marketing, I'm currently working on, and I'm hoping to see better results in the next year.
I pretty much agree with everything Victoria just said, and it was very much the same for me. Nothing was ever passive. Even the direct ads, which I just mentioned, it was the biggest money maker for me. If I wasn't actively promoting that there were slots, there were very little inquiries, just relying on the fact that there is a link on the website. So even if you're going to do direct ad sales, which you can do even before you are able to join an ad network, I definitely think that it's something that you actively have to promote, which kind of goes with everything we just talked about, right? Whether it's merch, product launches, anything you're doing, if you're not promoting it, you're not going to get the money. Now, the other thing that definitely worked better for me before was affiliate income. And that was something that was doing really well. At one point, and again, because I started blogging a long time ago, Amazon had actually changed their affiliate payout structure, which to me, that was also something that really affected the income. I know a lot of bloggers that I was in contact with at the time also had that issue. So I definitely have gone a little bit away from pushing that, but I have seen a different result in the past year. And I definitely do think that, just like Victoria said, it's because I need to also treat affiliates kind of like people shop. People shop right now by looking at a video and then wanting to get the thing. So if you're pushing those links and those products, that people are probably most likely going to want to buy. So definitely that also goes in strategy and how you do that. So when I do that, the affiliate income is good. And then when it comes to direct sponsorships and brand partnerships and things like that, that is something that I have majorly steered clear from, mostly because I don't like the appearance of like putting a sponsored post on the blog. In a way, I feel like there is a bit of a pushback sometimes on people trusting, at least in my particular niche. So it is something that I haven't necessarily dove into, but also for my niche, they don't pay very well. So for that little bit of money, I don't really want to have that trust be broken, unless it's something that I am getting the affiliate, it is something I use. So I'm being very intentional with the products that I promote. Now, that being said, ad networks, that has been something that was a complete game changer. And I discovered ad networks probably in 2018, I would say. And it was randomly, I landed on someone's blog. They were with the ad network She Media. And I was like, oh, what is this? There was a link at the bottom of the site. Obviously, you see the ads through the post, but there was a link at the bottom of the site about She Media. And I clicked on it, and the whole world opened up to me about the fact that you could have an ad network that fills in those ads on your site. So I applied, I signed up. I didn't do any research on other ad networks. I just signed up for it. I qualified. I had ads on my site, and I was super happy. Now, since then, I have moved on, and I am with Mediavine, and I definitely see the difference in the payout, even for the same traffic, and how it's much, much better on Mediavine. I know that Raptive also has better RPM and pay as well. You're definitely going to get the pay in base of your traffic, but also on the network that you're on. And that will be a conversation for another day. We can compare the different ad networks that we've been on and tell you guys more of that experience as well.
So hands down, on my monetization journey, the three biggest wins are services, being on an ad network, and direct sponsorships. However, on the flip side, epic fails include trying to set up a merch shop, signing up for Kajabi and hosting content behind a paywall, and also signing up for Zoom events. I spent thousands of dollars on that, and it turned out to be a big loss.
And now for my biggest wins, it was definitely direct sales of ads, ad network income, and affiliates. And I would say for sure for the fails was the merch shop, signing up for Heartbeat and trying to have a community on there, because that was also a lot of money, and trying to monetize social media content and sell brand partnerships that way.
Now that you know our full monetization journey, you might be wondering, where do we stand today and what's next? Well, we will be talking all about our plans for monetization for the next 12 to 18 months. So that will be covering 2026 and 2027. But for now, we've done enough work. That's it for co-working. Let's clock out of everything monetization and everything we've done in the past, because we really want to get into planning our future. But let us know in the comment which monetization strategy surprised you the most. Did you try any of these methods? What were your results? And what was your monetization journey over the past few years? Let us know in the comments so that we can learn together, but also cheer you on, especially if you have some big wins.
So be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification so you don't miss our next video, where we're going to be talking about all of our monetization strategy for the next 12 to 18 months and even more tips. I'm just going to tell you, it's going to be a bold strategy that you're probably not going to hear anyone else recommend. But for today, that is all, and we'll see you again here next week for co-working. Bye.